So here we are at Boulder City in Nevada, just outside of Las Vegas, with Chris Comroy from Yeti Cycles. He's going to shed a little bit of light on some of the new product line from Yeti this year.
Yeah, so probably the biggest thing we have in the line this year is our new 303. It's a DH free ride design we've been working on for the last 18 months. We conceived of the design probably 3 years ago, and there were so many different iterations we went through. I'm not exaggerating to say that we're probably 20 iterations into it. And, Tyler's been part of that process. Team Yeti's been part of that process. And ultimately, we wanted to make sure it was completely 100% before we went to market because it's such new technology. So it's been around for 3 years in concept. We've been racing it and riding it for the last 18 months. And what's really unique about this bike is that it runs on linear rails. And linear rails allow us to do a few things. One, it allows us to tailor the wheel path so that it's rearward most of the travel. So when you encounter a square edge bump, it's blowing right through it. Secondly, it allows us to tailor the rate so that as you're going through a turn or a berm, it's not pooching down and you can pedal out really easily. It's also completely neutral for pedaling and braking forces. So anyway, this is Steve Hugendorn. Steve is our engineer at Yeti, and he's also one of the owners in the company. So when we go about product design, we don't have to go all the way up the food chain and ask the marketing guys and the sales guys and everybody else how we make the product and what they want. We just make the changes right now, and that gives us a ton of flexibility. And he's going to talk about the 303 and the rail system because he knows a lot more than I do.
Cool.
Straight from the horse's mouth.
All right, here's the horse. What we have here is 2 years of hard work, development by race team, guys at Yeti. It's a system. We've got a hard chrome rail, so you're not going to see any oxidation. It's not going to bend like a lot of people think. It's probably the strongest thing on any bike anywhere. We've got a car with rows of linear bearings inside. You can see 4 rows total. This makes the car much stronger in lateral stiffness, moment stiffness, and normal loads. We've got about 5 levels of protection on each end. First thing we have is a block, which is a self-lubricating block. Basically, it's a capillary block that's impregnated with oil. Then as it cycles through its travel, it lubricates itself. Next, you've got 2 Buna wipers. That's going to scrape any of the fine particles off of the system. After that, you've got 3 laminated contact scrapers. That's going to take off any fluids, water, mud, muck. It's the first layer of protection, basically. Then once that's all said and done, if you still get something in your system, you can hit it with a grease gun. And we recommend that after you wash your bike, you hit it with a grease gun, and that flushes any water out of the system and gives a good, layer of grease inside. On the bottom side also, we've got these wiper seals, so they're called end seals. That protects it from any dirt getting in from underneath.
Nice.
So really between the hard chrome rail, you've got 440 stainless steel ball bearings in there. You're not going to get any oxidation, any corrosion, and you've got a sealed system.
Wow.
We've got the access port in the top tube. As you can see, your tool will fit very well in there. You can loosen that, a couple twists.
It's like he knows his way around the access port.
I can get in there. And as you rotate it through the motion here, you can see the geometry changing right before your eyes.
Oh my God. It's almost like somebody
Then once you get it where you'd like it, you just come back in here, tool in the access port, give her a good stiff torque, like so.
I've noticed some serious attention to detail on these frames. Like all the welds are gorgeous. Everything just looks like the construction of it looks amazing, and some subtleties of the frame, like the guides and like your cable guides and everything just looks like really well thought out. You want to elaborate on that a bit, or?
Yeah, you bet. We really we had a free rein on this. We took 2 years of development, so we didn't spare any expense. You take a look at the frame, and everything is designed exclusively for this frame, such as the top tube we just talked about. We've got a fully machined upright that runs from the seat tube all the way down to the bottom bracket. It's one solid piece of material. Probably starts off as a 5-pound block. It's machined and whittled down, and it actually weighs less than 2/3 of a pound when we're done with that. One nice add-on we did was the cable guides. Especially with downhill rigs, you've got 8-9 inches of travel, and you always have this cable bowing out and getting in the way, and it has nowhere to go. So with this, it's actually quite a development at the factory. We had a guy we call College came up with some small electrical guides that he was testing it with that we just clamp on the frame and allowed the cable to slide through it. Once we proved that worked, we were able to design a custom guide right here. It's a 2-piece guide, and what it allows you to do is get your housing in there without actually cutting it from one end or the other. It's got a riveted base, and then it's got a bolt on top, and it's got some IGUS bushings in there that allow the cable to slide through as you go through the motion on the bike.
Cool, so I'm here in Boulder City, and I'm at the Yeti booth, and they're just giving me the lowdown on the new 303, and now we're going to get a little bit of input from their rider, Tyler Klassen, aka Super T. He's been testing this bike for the last year now, and he's really, really excited about it, so he wants to let you guys know how much he likes it.
Well, there's, the other guys covered the technical stuff, but, what everyone wants to know is does it work? Can you go big on it? Does it pedal well? And this bike really blows me away. It doesn't give up, things, in performance in one category. It pedals really well. It just accelerates through bumps and square edge hits. And it is, it's a big hucker too if you're a free rider. It's a free ride bike that is going to act like a race bike and ride really well. And I'm quite stoked on this machine, in that sense.
So this bike really doesn't look like anything else on the market, Tyler. Can you compare it to anything else? Does it feel like anything else, or is it out there on its own, man? What's it about?
That's the one thing that really blew me away getting on this, because I expected it to act different from a regular kind of bike, right? It's a new concept, but what really blows me away is it doesn't feel like weird at all. It rides like a bike should. Geometry is just on the money, and it's easy to set up. It'll work for you, and the pedaling is very, very efficient. Really got to get out and just get yourself on one of these things and try it.
Here we are again with Chris Conroy, and he's going to elaborate on some of the finer points of the ASX here from Yeti, and just basically show you what's up with this free ride machine.
Yeah, this is a bike we made to be a totally bomber bike for free riding. And what we did first is we wanted to make the rate on the suspension work so that it worked really well in all sorts of conditions. So rather than use a bunch of linkages, we wanted to keep it simple. But one of the key parts on this bike is what we call the rate link. And the rate link, although it looks like a traditional single pivot bike, the rate link here changes the rate as it moves through its travel. And the reason we did that is because as you get through certain parts of your travel, you want it very linear in the middle, so it's very active. It's a little bit stiffer on the front end, and then it falls off at the end, so you don't bottom it out. So what winds up happening is you have a bike that utilizes all of its travel, and it also is very stiff because we have the dog bone to the back, we have the rate link, and we have the suspension, so the whole rear end is really stiff, totally burly. Up front, we use a bunch of oversized tubes, and they come into an 1.5-inch head tube. That allows you to press in 1.1 adapters if you want to run an 1.1 fork, or you can run 1.5 up front. So it gives you a lot of versatility in what you're running. The tearaway front end, that's not what we're after here.
Yeah, so who's going to be riding for you guys in 2006?
2006, Tyler Clausen's on board again, so great there. We also have Team Yeti. We have Jared Graves, who really won almost everything this year and was second in the world. We have Duncan Riffle, who's also on Team Yeti. And we also have athletes outside of that. We have 3 regional teams that are some of the best semi-pros and junior racers in the country. So we have a pretty good staff of people on it.